Now we're going to review a movie that we both had been wanting to see for a very long time.
Yeah.
And it came out a few weeks ago, called The Creator.
Directed by Gareth Edwards.
And cinematography by oh man, I feel bad forgetting his name. But
yeah, he fucked it up.
He did the cinematography for The Batman and The Mandalorian season 1, and then we also got score by Hans Zimmer, right? Yeah. So I know, spoiler alert for you guys, I know we have some very different opinions, I think. So let's get into it, Zach. Let me hear what you thought, man.
Yeah, so non-spoiler review. I think that out of all the things that I'm gonna talk about and say, I think it's an important movie, and I think it is a great conversation starter movie, and it's quite incredible the things that they pull off visually.
Absolutely.
Budget wise, there's very interesting topics that the movie goes into, and yeah, I think like it's a really, I've heard what other people have to say about it, and I'm interested to hear what you have to say about it. I'm not I was very, very, very excited about it, and I just felt pretty let down after watching it, which I wasn't expecting to feel. I was expecting to feel a lot better about watching it, and I'll get into my reasons, but
sure.
But overall, I mean, like, if you like this movie, I think I can understand why you really like it, and I think there's a lot of things that are really well done about it, and I think it's a very interesting movie.
Okay. So not as negative as I thought you were gonna be. But yeah, my non-spoiler, I would say, like, I knew like 20, 30 minutes into this movie that I really liked it. Like I just immediately fell in love with the cinematography of this movie. Soundtrack. I know it's not maybe one of Hans Zimmer's strongest, but it is. I still think it's a very good soundtrack. I really love the style. You get these like really nice like segments of the movie where it's like you get a Japanese title card, and it's like you get like the creator, the mother, the child, the friend, I think one of them is called.
That was like the third one.
Yeah. And so I think the movie's structured very well for the most part. And I really like the story, and I do acknowledge there's some big plot holes maybe. That it's not like the tightest of stories, but I still think it's a much more grounded story than I think I was expecting, and I like that for it. Yeah, and I like John David Washington. I think he's pretty great in this. Yeah, I'm very happy with this movie. Do I think it's perfect? No, but I think it's really good.
Yeah, I think when people were coming out of the movie and saying this is a classic sci-fi movie, this will go along with like Blade Runner in 2001 and
I don't know if I put it that high.
And yeah, I mean it's one of the best movies of the year, and it might get Best Picture, and I'm like, okay, I didn't necessarily believe any of that, but I was like very intrigued that it was getting such high reviews.
Here's the thing, I don't have like the list of all the movies I've seen this year, but like I don't think it's absurd for it to be like number 5 on my top 5 right now.
So. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can say the same.
Yeah. So yeah, you want to get in the spoilers?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, since I don't know if we want to do like a full recap for this, like we did with Ahsoka.
We can try a little bit.
I mean, yeah. So I'll say I love how the story throws you into like the backstory of the world. I like seeing the come up of the AI, how they're kind of ingrained into like the work and home and life. And
yeah, there's very like a Fallout,
50s,
yeah. It was, and then it got more realistic, and it was still so very. It was so realistic, even though the technology was still so very much not there. It was very
Sure.
it was cool. It was very cool.
Yeah, no, yeah, the style was very cool for that. And then you get this bombshell news. Not trying to be ironic there. That the that the AI in the year 2050 dropped a nuke on LA and killed millions of people. And so basically, the Western world has fully outlawed AI, but the Eastern world is doesn't seem to see the problem in AI and kind of fully embraces them and treats them like a full member of society, which is kind of cool to see the juxtaposition of those two cultures. But yeah, and then you get introduced to the main character of the movie, and I'm struggling to remember the character's name. Funny enough. Joshua. Okay. And he's basically, you see him as a father or a future father with his wife, and they
Cersei
seem to be
from Eternals.
Oh yeah, you're right. I didn't even realize. But yeah, she's pregnant, and they seem to be very in love, and they're living on the beach of some Asian coast, and
yeah,
and then all of a sudden they get attacked, and it's kind of revealed that he's been a double agent this whole time, and she kind of overhears it and runs away and kind of gets bombed by the big device they have in the sky. Do you remember what it's called?
Nomad.
That's right. And so basically, the character cuts to 5 years from then, and he's just kind of removed from the world. He's just kind of a sanitation guy cleaning up the nuke blast zone. And he's still very much like, AI aren't people. Kind of says to that woman, remember, like when that AI woke up at the nuke blast zone, she's like, that's a real thing. And he's like, no, it's just programming. And
I mean, that scene was done pretty well.
It was. I like that scene.
I wish there was more of stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I want to also say that I think the idea of the Nomad weapon ship is, I think it's an incredible sci-fi ship design.
Absolutely.
And I think the targeting lasers, I didn't know that was targeting incredible. Lasers, which is so cool. But it's also, it's a great idea because it's so
intimidating. Like you just see it coming across coming across the field so fast, and you're like, well, that's it. I'm done, But
it's also like, imagine it is a bit of like a similar thing that goes on today, where imagine if you were living in a country where you could get bombed by a drone.
Sure. Yeah.
You just have this massive targeting system just over your country constantly, because you know that you have AI, and it is this like really it looks cool, but it's a terrifying weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah. It's
and I think that was
got
cool
some social commentary.
Yeah. I did think it was a well thought out, great visual idea that they went for.
I will say, if I want to point out a plot hole here, they used the Nomad to attack like AI bases and societies over in the eastern part of the world. But I'm like, are you saying like all these countries are just letting the Nomad into their country? Like
what are you gonna
zero fight?
But what are you gonna do?
But you could go to war. I mean, you could.
But it literally like it would attack from like space.
And here's the thing: like they are allowed, like they're allowed to live there. I mean, it's not illegal for these AI to live over there. So what they are like, what the Nomad is doing is just like terrorism every single time.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like there wasn't anything shown of like the government of these countries like being upset about this. Like I feel like it was never even discussed.
But like, what would you even do?
I know, it just feels like such a
Like,
such a crazy. I mean, I don't know. You could threaten the other country with nukes if you wanted to. I don't know. Like,
I mean, I agree with you. That would have. I do agree that it would have been good to see a bit of that, because besides that, it just felt like guerrilla warfare, where like you had just these small sects, and like
there was never even a military going up against them. It was just
all you had was like AI cops.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's not a huge thing for me, but it's just like I get that if somebody had a problem with it. But yeah, I mean, basically, he gets kind of pulled back in. The main character gets kind of pulled back into this life because he's told that his wife is still alive when he thought she was dead, and basically he's tasked with like finding this weapon and destroying it. And so I really like the heist, the squad that goes in. And at this point, I really like the fact that the movie like is. At least for me, like I was naturally siding with the humans at this point. I was just like, look, the humans got nuked by these things. Like they have every right to be upset and to want to destroy this like all powerful weapon that the AI have created.
Right. And I mean, and you're naturally inclined to feel that way a little bit. Like when you start to, they purposefully had the woman who's like the main antagonist of the movie, talk about how her sons got killed.
Right.
But I also didn't necessarily feel that way. I felt more like Joshua, where like he clearly was also very upset at his own government for like fucking, doing what they did.
Sure. Yeah.
So he was just kind of indifferent to all the, to everything.
Yeah. Right.
But up until, I want to say like up until a little after, like once we got into the child section of the movie, I was all in. Like I was loving everything. Like
really,
like I was so into everything. And then any movie that is going over like an eastern continent, or I don't know if it was Nepal or whatever, but and it was juxtaposed this like organic countryside with like AI spread throughout, and then like the
world they set up was great.
A military chopper flying, instead of doing like a typical 1970s like Creedence Clearwater, they decided to do like a Kid A, everything in its right place, Radiohead, and I was like, I'm fucking in. Like this is amazing.
nice.
Everything, and the break into the place was executed super well, and it was super tense. And I loved everything. I loved like the woman who's like, guys, I need backup, and like she's like blowing people up. And
by the way, favorite scene of the movie, or favorite shot I'll say, is like before all that, where he's in the pool and like the general like walks up to the pool and he's still underwater, and he like looks up, and like the general's shades make it look like there's an AI above the water. And I almost I got chills. Like I was just like, holy like that was a great shot. Like I don't know, I loved it. And I wish there was maybe some more like trickery like that throughout it, but I
liked he didn't necessarily go, oh, don't shoot the dog. He was like, I'm not going to shoot the dog. Like he's not going to stop the guy from shooting the dog. He just found like what he was looking for, because he was like, I don't really give a shit, which let you know who like Joshua is a little bit.
Sure.
And that was a great scene. And then obviously we get to
forgot about that.
We got to the place, the vault kind of opening up, and we get to who we later know is
Alfie.
Alfie, yeah. I was gonna say Artie, but I knew that was wrong.
Artie, like an old man's name.
Yeah. And that's when, but like when it got to that point, that's when the movie was starting to lose me a little bit, in a weird way. Not entirely, but like
was it like the fact that like the kid didn't talk at first, and then the kid like out of nowhere was like, yeah, I can talk.
No. I'll go into it, but like for one, the woman who like starts yelling and starts shooting at him and whatnot.
Yeah.
That was clearly not Gemma Chan, right? That was just like an older woman.
No, yeah, that wasn't her. I don't know why he thought that was his wife.
Yeah. And I was like,
Yeah.
what? And it was never, I was like, that's clearly like, I felt like I was being gaslit.
I think he just was like hoping that the person that it was in here was his wife.
Maybe, but it did not feel very well. I don't need something to be spelled out to me, but like that clearly felt like I was like, it didn't necessarily feel like something to even be in plot. Maybe it was just like, I felt like I was like, that was weird.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't know. I guess I just jumped to the conclusion that I had.
But then they get out, right? Mm-hmm. And it was kind of lost on me because I thought that he would know that the kid was a weapon, but then he would treat the kid like he wanted nothing to do with him.
Well,
and then
he knew pretty early on that the kid was a weapon. The only thing he cared about was getting to his wife.
Yeah, but like, it was strange, like, because he would be like, oh, this, like, because at a certain point he started to care so much, like he started to care the fact that he clearly knew that the kid would be able to get him to like the creator or to get him to his wife. But there's a lot of times where he'd be like, fuck off, kid. And I'd be like, why? Like, and he would just be like, get lost. And I was like, why would you? And then he was like, oh no, I need the kid. And like, there was just things like that started to like lose me a little bit. I was like, his motivations are,
I can't say those scenes like stick out in my memory for me.
Like specifically when like he wakes up in the boat after the blast and then the kid's there and he's like, fuck off, go away.
Right.
You know? And I was like, why?
Yeah, that's a little weird. Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah, whenever he does that, I'll give you that. That's a weird choice because like, I don't know. Do you like, it's like, have you just given up at that point? Like, are you just like not trying to find your wife then or what?
It was just like weird interactions, weird choices. But you know, I think the thing that a lot of people I think were gravitating towards is they thought, oh, the relationship between Joshua and Alfie. I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, they had such great chemistry.
I think towards the end they did.
I actually don't think that they were that great on screen together. I really didn't feel any of the connection that they really had. And the only time that I really felt emotional is when the kid would just like start getting emotional. But that's just because I think most people get emotional when you see a kid be upset.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I cried when the kid cried at the end. So,
but definitely when we got into the child sequence of stuff, there were just it might be a little hard to cite every single time, but there would just be moments where I didn't understand the interactions between the two. I didn't really think that, like, I don't know. I just didn't buy into a lot of things that started to happen. There was a lot of things that just happened very conveniently that I was kind of frustrated by. And then we started to get into these cool ideas that were never kind of delved into. And it started to become more of a hide away from the government. Like, I don't know, it started to become like a different movie than what I thought it was going to be.
I don't know. I guess I always saw the fact that like he was trying to reach his wife till the very end. And then when you get to the wife, I think there's a few really good twists where you learn that like, she like after her dad passed, that she became the leader of the group and that she was the leader like when he was married to her. And and then you get to the end and you realize, oh, she's not alive anymore, and that the AI that are here to protect her literally can't kill her because they literally have been programmed that they can't. So I think it was a like really beautiful to realize that the entire journey, maybe subconsciously for Alfie, was getting Joshua to his mom or to her mom so that Joshua could kill him. Give her peace, basically.
Maybe.
I think that's how I like to look at it, and I think like the story is pretty beautiful at that point. Now, where I do think the movie has another kind of problem, I don't think the movie is dragging out, or maybe not dragging out, but I don't think the movie's like unnecessarily long. But I do think the end in a way drags out because you have like 3 different finales almost. Like you had the finale where they had the standoff at the village, and then they get, he gets to his wife, and like the village gets bombed again and they have to escape. And then they had this whole plan where like he and Alfie are like infiltrating the Nomad, and like then they destroy, like, they basically destroyed at the end. And I'm like, okay, this probably could have been over like 20 minutes ago, but I wasn't upset at like them going to destroy the Nomad. I was like, oh, this is like a good progression, Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like, okay, I'll get to where you're at in like in a second, but like,
sure,
there was things like support aid AI, aid AI, and they would be like, give your likeness to AI, aid them. And I was cool. Like, but it was gone in like a second. Like they were like, oh, that's cool. But they never like went into it. I mean, like, it was an interesting idea.
They were never in the heart of a civilization for more than like half an hour in the movie.
I know, but like how cool would it have been to like have some sort of like, it was a cool idea. I'm glad it was in the movie, but like I was kind of bummed out. Like that was really interesting having like, it would have been cool to have like a,
well, and didn't he see his wife a couple times in the train?
Right. Yeah. Like she, yeah. But I just thought like that was like rich to have like an interesting conversation about, and they didn't really go into it. But that's also fair. You're telling me that they go into this very heavily populated city and like, yeah, they get recognized pretty soon after, but like they were like straight up just like almost at a certain point, not even hiding, just in like a group of people. And I was like, okay. And you literally have like these AI robot cops that could have easily just, but
speaking of the AI robot cops,
okay,
sorry,
or the people that help them out, like, okay, sure, they just wanted to help them out. I don't know why. Like, they're wanted fugitives. They probably know they're wanted fugitives. Like, it was a bit,
I feel like any, and
they literally got them into trouble and started like shooting at cops, and they still drove off with them. Like,
yeah.
It was just stuff like that was kind of weird.
Well,
and
I don't feel like that family was ever shown to be like willingly helping them. I feel like Joshua was just like, yo, I'm gonna kill you all if you don't like drive us to the city.
I don't. But and just like
he was hiding his gun when the guy approached him. Remember?
Yeah. I don't know. Like I can only speak for how I felt about the movie. I just feel like there's some times where things weren't executed very well. I don't think story-wise, like I really understood people's motivations. I felt like things went by really fast. Like there's times where he was like realizing things about his wife, that like she's like all these different people, but it was like that she's not actually maybe real, because she's just generated her, like given away her likeness. And it was just like through these kind of like fast paced edits of him looking at different people. And all the while he's talking to the kid about, he's talking to the kid about, like, I'm not going to go to heaven and all this stuff, which was like one of the better conversations between the two. But like the kid was saying some like really cringy lines sometimes, like, what do you want from, what would you like to have for AI to be free? Oh, we don't have that. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. I think that was in the trailer though.
I know, but it doesn't make a difference. It still was. It was arguably worse in the movie theater for me.
I could agree with you. That wasn't a great line. Yeah. But I was like, it's a kid who like only wants that. I don't know.
But I also didn't necessarily understand the kid's motivations half the time. Like sometimes I got it, but I didn't really believe them sometimes.
I think the kid was willing to help AI regardless, because AI, she is AI and AI made her. And I feel like the other motivation was just getting back to her mom. Like, I feel like that was pretty much her two motivations, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like there was things about the movie that really didn't feel executed very well. And I didn't believe, like, things felt very convenient. Like, for example, especially, like, I had already kind of checked out, but by the time they are trying to destroy Nomad, I was like, yeah, they did get, confronted when they first board, and then Joshua sucks them out the airlock. Cool. The rest of the time, you're telling me he didn't have to fight nobody, and then the kid didn't have to
evacuated,
fight.
You know?
Oh, no. You're telling me the most heavily guarded, most expensive, took 10 years to build government.
Sure.
Like, weapon of mass destruction, they didn't have to fight anybody or deal with any issues. Like, boarding and taking down that place could have been a whole 45 minutes of a movie if you wanted to, and they obviously just need to get through it. But I didn't believe any of that stuff that was happening, and I also didn't believe that. I mean, maybe like it is an advanced AI kid, but like you're telling me like that, I don't know, that idea, that whole plan of taking that thing down was not exactly the most well thought out plan.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
I will say we should probably be wrapping up the creator talk here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think,
and like people are talking about the suicide bomber. The suicide bomber thing was like cool, but again, like there's just I can't describe. I can't like.
There was just, I think it sounds like there was just too much thrown at the wall and not enough expanded upon for you.
Yeah,
I think you just needed a more concise story and for it to be more detailed in what it was trying to show.
Like, I feel like for a movie that it was like, it did try to portray things. It did try to have a good conversation about, like, obviously, you know, it was very rooted in like immigration and the quote unquote other and it did try to, but it didn't really talk about, like, AI was the backdrop, but it almost didn't. And maybe it didn't need to talk about AI, but it was about AI. And I really thought that they would go into a bit of a more science fiction slant about, like, what is it? Like, yeah, like you could say they're, like you said, like, oh, are they not actually people? But like, you didn't really go into a whole lot of a human side of an AI, to be completely honest. They were just treated as like a different race of people, which is good in its own way to tell that story.
Sure.
But I just expected more out of a story that was going in that direction.
Yeah, I think it might have like just focused on that fight to get to his wife for too long. Maybe.
Exactly. That's what I got bothered by. It was just a fight to get to his wife, which turned into caring about.
I like that story, you know, but I get why you would want something different.
Yeah, I mean, and then like, you know, other things, like he didn't want her to be. First of all, that thing where like they bring the person back to life for like 30 seconds.
Yeah,
awesome,
that's
terrifying,
cool,
and really cool. But you know, when she starts to do it to his wife at the end, he's like really pissed off. Leave her alone, like, you know. And then at the end, he's like more than happy to just take that little memory card of her out and just like take it with him. And I was like, I thought it was like,
that scene I didn't love, where he like reunited with the AI version of his wife at the end. I was like, Did I need that? No, I did not.
Was like things like that. That could have been a very emotionally potent scene, but I just feel like things weren't put, like they didn't dive into it enough things for me personally, and they kind of went too fast with things, and then they also like tried to make these really emotionally impacttive moments that I don't know. I didn't feel
didn't hit for you
that connected to. I don't. Yeah.
I mean, I definitely can see where you're coming from. I definitely think I'm okay, like way more okay with the movie that we got than you are.
Yeah.
But like I think your complaints are valid.
Thanks for validating me.
Yeah, you're welcome, buddy. That's what I'm here for. But yeah, I'm almost bummed we didn't get to see that one together, because that would have been fun to have a conversation outside the theater.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
Oh, and also the Hans Zimmer score. I was like, what would I didn't even know there was a score, like, which is sometimes the good things with a movie, but like I felt like the
But if
score
you
was
got
kind
Hans
of
Zimmer,
I
yeah.
feel like the score was kind of lacking.
I think, I don't know. I feel like maybe on a first pass, I don't always like fully listen to a score. So like I just remember like a few key moments where I was like digging the soundtrack, but yeah, I'd have to listen to it again. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.